Hello, and welcome to another episode of Meet Your Pollinator Neighbor. I'm your host, Dr. Nick Dorian, and today we'll be talking about the banded longhorn beetle Typocerus velutinus. Beetles capture many of our imaginations when we are children at night, whether we know it or not. This is in the form of fireflies. Fireflies are wondrous animals and are some of the most charismatic of our local beetles. And although fireflies do occur in small pockets around Somerville, they are not flower visitors, and there are dozens of other species of beetles that we can meet during the day if we look. As a group of pollinators, beetles are one of the oldest, coming to rise as flower-visiting insects around the time of the first flowering plants, about 130 million years ago, during the Cretaceous. Beetles are fond of fragrant flowers, particularly those like elderberry and spirea, and viburnums, and ones with big landing pads. Compared to our agile bees and wasps, beetles are a bit clumsy in the skies, and are much more at home with their 6 legs firmly on the flower. As a group, flower-visiting beetles are omnivorous. Some eat decaying wood during development and eat flower nectar and pollen as adults. Others, as larvae, wriggle around the ground, hunting grasshopper eggs, and still others eat plant roots and shoots. As adults, many of them drink nectar and eat pollen, which is essential protein needed to lay eggs. And they often spend a considerable amount of time hanging out on particular plants, and for this reason, it's easy to get out there and be beetle paparazzi. Snap away, take photos galore. Beetles often stay quite still or move slowly, and so it's easy to get up there and meet these neighbors. For beetles as a group, you can look for long, segmented antennae and wings that are not exposed to the air but covered by a wing sheath called an elytra. In our survey of pollinator data in Somerville, beetles were not very well represented, despite many species being quite common in the area. The banded longhorn beetle, for example, was found in just 1 out of 7 wards during the summer months. They can't bite or sting, and so going out and searching for this beetle would be a great way of contributing to some of our pollinator efforts in the city. Still, if you find one, I encourage you to look for the following marks. You can look for bright red or maroon legs, horizontal yellow stripes, and long segmented black antennae. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to want to look on white or fragrant flowers, meadowsweet like spirea, shrubby dogwoods, goldenrods, and wild carrot. And although wild carrot or Queen Anne's lace is not native, it is certainly one of the best places to look for pollinators, beetle pollinators in the city. If you go out to meet the banded longhorn beetle, keep your eyes peeled for their pollinator partners or the insects that also like the same flowers. In this way, planting flowers to help banded longhorn beetles helps many other pollinator neighbors too, like the silky striped sweatbee, the four-toothed mason wasp, the silver-spotted skipper, the flower longhorn beetle, and the hummingbird clearwing moth. That's all for this episode of Meet Your Pollinator Neighbor. If you want to learn more, join me next time. I'm your host, Dr. Nick Dorian. Keep on noticing.